For the Urban Futures topic, you need to know a case study of a city in an advanced country. For our case study, we looked at Leicester. Leicester is a city located in the UK. It's the largest city in the East Midlands region, and as of 2019, it's home to nearly 400,000 people. A recent report said that Leicester has one of the top 10 strongest economies of all cities in the UK, and therefore it's quite an important city both nationally and in the region. Leicester's economy was arguably even more important to the UK in the past. Back in 1936, Leicester was the second richest city in Europe, and this strong industrial past was built around the hosiery and shoe factories, but now many of these factories have closed down due to globalisation and products being manufactured elsewhere. Here are some reasons why Leicester is still important regionally, nationally and globally today. Firstly, Leicester is the home of the National Space Centre. The Leicester University has been involved in several space projects linking with people like NASA. Leicester's got two large universities, Leicester and De Montfort. Leicester University alone has 20,000 students and 4,000 staff. Leicester's famous for its market. It was voted Britain's favourite market twice in the past 5 years. Our sport has also made us an important city. We've got successful rugby, football and basketball teams that are known globally. The King Richard III Museum attracts visitors from all over the UK and the wider world. We're also an important transport hub for the UK. Major transport links such as the M1 motorway and the main north-south train line pass straight through Leicester. Leicester's population has grown steadily over the past 150 years. There was quite a big jump in our population from 1861 to 1901. This was caused by the rapid industrialisation and factories springing up and attracting workers to Leicester. Population growth continued steadily really from then. As of 2019, there's estimated to be just under 400,000 people. Leicester's growing population has been strongly influenced by international migration. Going back to 1972, when Idi Amin announced that the entire Asian community in Uganda had to leave the country, nearly a quarter of those refugees came to Leicester. Since then, Leicester's strong Asian communities continue to grow and thrive. For example, Leicester has the largest Diwali celebrations outside of India. Leicester's Golden Mile is famous for its incredible cultural diversity and array of restaurants and shops. In the 21st century, Leicester has been shaped by migration from Eastern Europe. An example would be we've received 7,000 migrants to Leicester from Poland since the year 2001. And those influences can be seen in the many Polish shops, for example on Narborough Road, or St Paul's Polish Church, also in Leicester. At the same time as having international migration into Leicester, many of Leicester's older residents have moved out of the city into the surrounding countryside, and we call this counter-urbanisation. So when you combine that with the many younger economic migrants coming into Leicester, overall Leicester has a very young population for a UK city, at a time when many towns and cities are actually heading towards having ageing populations. Life in Leicester is very vibrant. It's a multicultural city and it's very, very diverse. To highlight the ethnic diversity, on Narborough Road alone, the owners of the different shops come from 22 different countries. Leicester's ethnicities include 45% white British and 28% Indian as the most significant ethnicities. We've mentioned growing Eastern European ethnicities in Leicester as well. That ethnic diversity strongly influences Leicester's culture, and you'll find countless takeaways and restaurants selling Indian, Chinese, Thai and many other foods. It influences Leicester's religious culture as well. You'll find many churches, but also mosques and other temples. You'll even find a Polish and Chinese speaking church. Sport is also an important part of day-to-day culture in Leicester, especially with having, who could forget it, the title-winning team of 2015 and 16. The housing in Leicester fits a little bit of a pattern. In the CBD, you'll find several recently built apartment blocks. As you move out towards the inner city, you'll find many areas of terraced houses, such as around Woodgate. Moving out of the city further still towards the suburbs, such as at Beaumont Leys, the houses are predominantly semi-detached with a fair bit more like garden space and parks and things like that in the area. As you move to the edge of the city on the rural periphery, you'll find lots of detached houses. Some of the popular leisure activities in Leicester include watching one of the sports teams, going to the gym, going to the High Cross to do some shopping, having a coffee, going to the cinema. One of the biggest challenges that Leicester faces relates to housing. With a growing population of nearly 400,000 people and rising, one of the biggest challenges is people in Leicester being able to afford to buy a home. There simply aren't enough houses for all the people, and with that shortage of supply of homes and a high demand, that pushes up the house prices. The average house price, according to Zoopla, is now over 240,000 in Leicester. And so when Leicester has a fairly young population with many people fairly young in their careers, those house prices are just too expensive for people to be able to buy their first home. And that has several knock-on effects. Leicester's got over 150 families living in temporary accommodation. There's around 31 people sleeping rough on the streets. Many families are forced to live in overcrowded accommodation, for example, with several children sharing a bedroom. It's meant that many people have to live with their parents much longer than either party would really like before they can afford to move out. Another issue worth mentioning is traffic congestion. Leicester was ranked 8th most congested city in a recent survey. Buses can be seen as too expensive or too much hassle, and so people just take the car. Traffic barely moves at walking speed as a result of the huge volume of traffic at rush hour. That causes people to be late for work, it causes people's stress levels to rise, it contributes lots of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and other nasty pollutants like carbon monoxide. And these are increasingly linked to health problems such as breathing difficulties and even strokes. As an example of how Leicester is trying to solve one of its problems, let's look at the housing situation. There is a project or a drive in Leicester to improve the housing situation to make it more sustainable for the people of Leicester. Specifically in Leicestershire, the aim is to build 180,000 more homes by 2050, and so in Leicester right now there are several building projects around the city. The aim is to create both more houses and more affordable houses. In terms of where to build, there's two options. Either we can spread further out into the green belt, building out into the countryside, but the preferred option in Leicester to be more sustainable is to try and build on brownfield sites, whereby old industrial sites that may be a derelict, like an old factory, are cleared and a housing project is built there. This has the benefit of preventing urban sprawl into the countryside. One example of this is the All Saints Brewery. This is located, or was located, next to the High Cross shopping centre. For many years, the All Saints Brewery was derelict. Eventually, as part of this project, it was demolished, and then on the land, a large new apartment block has been built. And so by regenerating this part of the city, not only has it created new apartments, it's made the area more attractive, might attract more people and investment into Leicester. The cost of this project is 43 million, which is arguably not a very economically sustainable sum of money to be spending when you consider it's building only 297 apartments. On the other side, they have tried to make these apartments really high end. And so they've got features such as a rooftop terrace with a wood-fire pizza oven. There's several shared community spaces within the building to try and get people to socialise with their neighbours. The project will also be able to earn money through renting out office space to local businesses. The question is, though, will these apartments actually be affordable for those that need to buy a home?